Hello, it is Sunday and it's time for my mental health vlog. This was a good week. I had therapy this week. I always like when I have therapy in the week. It gives me a chance to dig into some things and work through some things with my therapist, who is awesome. I really like her. Um, I talked a lot with her about how work has been impacting me the last couple of weeks, and she is concerned, and it's valid, that I'm putting a lot of my self-worth on how I'm perceived at work. And that's a challenge for me because I love going through life thinking that I don't give a shit about what people think about me, and far too often I find out that that's not 100% accurate. Um, so it's something I need to work with. So she gave me a little bit of homework, and she gave me a worksheet to work on to kind of identify what other areas of my life I can pull self-worth from. Like if I were to lose my job, or if I were to, become homeless or lose everything, would I still have self-worth? And the initial, reaction to that was like, no, but that's not the right answer. So, obviously that is an area that I need to work on, and self-worth can absolutely be tied into self-esteem. And when I was going through some of my defects of character for step 4 for my SAA 12 step, um, part of that is identifying if the defect of character stems from external sources, or if it's self-esteem, or there was another category, I don't remember what it was, but I didn't have a lot in that category. Most of it turned out to be like self-esteem type things. So I know I struggled a lot with self-esteem in most of my childhood and adolescence. And I feel like in my late teens, early 20s, I started to kind of come into my own. Um, that could be related to coming out and being more free to be who I am and express who I am and discover and dig into who I am. Um, but a lot of that I have to stop and think was that almost like a false confidence type thing. So it's definitely interesting to explore that and to dig back and to dissect things. And you will always discover something new. You will always discover that you viewed something completely differently. Um, uh, I saw a picture this week of someone I used to be friends with in school, high school and middle school. Um, they kind of disappeared off the earth, and there was some, scandal around their disappearance. And I was one of those people that never really cared about the scandal. I just wanted to make sure the person was okay. Um, but I saw the first picture of them since 1997, and it was a picture of this person with their sibling, and it blew me away. And I started to think about, actually, I was talking to another really good friend of mine, two really good friends of mine from high school, and we were talking about this person, and they were talking about how they had to deal with all these things with their parents. One of them struggling with, sexual identity, and the other being forced to make some really hard choices um, because of fear of scandal. And I always think about my own childhood trauma. And I know that everybody has their own, but when you actually stop and think about some of the childhood trauma, the people that you grew up with, stuff that you may have brushed under the carpet, or kind of had a, well, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, or that's just how, people are, or how parents are in that time. But it's like, I'm constantly unpacking stuff. I'm unpacking boxes I didn't even know I had. Um, so it's hard to think about the trauma that other people go through as well, and that's empathy, which sometimes I get very silo focused, self-centered when dealing with my own stuff, and I do not often think about the trauma and struggles that everyone else has to deal with. So I still don't know if she's okay. I hope she is. I hope they are. But it was weird to see a picture of someone that you literally haven't seen any kind of picture of since 1997, which is just, it's a long time. And it actually got me thinking a lot about, high school and band and whatnot, because and funny enough, my dad and I was always jealous because my dad and I, and it's no surprise, do not and have not ever really had a great relationship. And I was jealous of people in the band that got to see him as such a cool band dad. He was the one that was driving the buses, and he was the one that was, letting us host the pool party or the dock parties at our house. And he was, he was one of just the really cool band dads. And everyone got to see that side of him, and everyone, loved that side of him. And I just remember always thinking, why don't I get this side of him? Why is he so nice and cool and funny around all of these people, but never when we're home? So there was jealousy there. But then that took me back to a conversation that I had with myself just a couple of weeks ago about how sometimes I'm so different around other people than I am at home. It's a character or a facade that I put on. And it's one more thing that reminds me that I'm like him in some ways. I know I'll never be exactly like him because I've made the choice not to be. But I have to just make sure that I don't ever want to make my son feel that way. Like if I'm ever with him around his friends or around other people, I want to make sure that he sees the authentic me and he likes the authentic me, and that he doesn't have to be jealous because of how I might act or do things around other people that I wouldn't do or just don't think about normally. So I don't know. It's one of those things I continue to explore. I've been exploring a lot these past couple of weeks, months, really dissecting some things. And I think I had kind of stalled out on doing a lot of work on myself as I was kind of navigating through issues that were arising. So I'm glad I'm taking the time to do that now. And I look forward to going back and watching this video in a couple of months, maybe a year, and seeing where I've come from, the areas I've decided I needed to focus on. Evidently one of those is that I'm too competitive, which my boyfriend made the comment, he's like, you are very competitive. I'm like, I'm not competitive. He's like, you are vicious. He officiated a wedding ceremony for one of his dearest friends this weekend, which I'll talk about more in a little bit. And he made a comment about the only rule in Uno being screw you. And he said, I inspired that line. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, you're really competitive. And I'm like, well, I play to win. And then I asked him, I'm like, am I like Monica level competitive from, Friends? And he was like, yes, you are. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, well, obviously I have a problem and I need to work on that. Didn't have a meeting. I didn't go to my meeting this week because I had a release at work. It was a very successful release, which is good. So all the things we've been working on for the past couple of weeks and validating and whatnot, we pushed to production, and that went really well. Picked up my son on Thursday evening this week. He didn't have school on Friday, and because we had to take him home early on Saturday because of the wedding we had to go to, I was glad to have the extra night with him. I really was. On the car ride home from pickup on Thursday, he was telling me about these kids in his Turkish class, and yes, he's still in Turkish, and we're still working on that. And just how they are so disruptive and so distracting, and they curse and they scream and blah, 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 and the teacher doesn't seem to do anything about it. I mean, so of course, we're going to address that. But then he's like, God, teenagers are just jerks. And I said, yes, buddy, teenagers can be jerks, boys especially. I said, it's a choice they make. It is usually compensating for lack of self-confidence and trying to show that they are cooler than they feel they are inside. And they often do that by tearing themselves down, tearing other people down to try and puff themselves back up. So he has promised us, and evidently my ex has it on video, that he will not be a dick when he's a teenager. So, I mean, all teenagers are dicks, so I expect some level of that, but it's very insightful to have the conversation with him and have him point out the things that he sees in other people that are wrong or what he calls stupid. You know, he talked about some of the challenges on TikTok and whatnot, where people do stupid things that can be, you know, that can get them killed. Eating Tide Pods, cooking chicken and NyQuil. Why are y'all doing stupid shit? Stop doing stupid shit and then saying it's a challenge. Just stop, can we, please? Jesus. But it's great to hear him be able to think critically. He's really coming into his own. He actually, because we had the rehearsal dinner and I was going to have him for the rehearsal dinner a couple weeks ago, I'm like, okay, well, we need to get you a nice shirt to wear to the rehearsal dinner. So we went to Target and found him a couple of button-up shirts to choose from. He picked out one that was not my top. We picked out 4 shirts, and it was not in my top 3. But I let him pick out the one he wanted, and so he's coming into his own style. His favorite colors are not my favorite colors, and that's okay. His style is not my style, which is okay. It's not his daddy's style, which is okay. And we were talking about it. We're like, how does the son of 2 gay men and then 2 other gay adults in their life look like he's walking to a video of Gangster's Paradise? It's just, that's not. But, you know, of course we're gonna let him be his own person and express himself how he wants to be. And I think that's a really important part of a parent's job, is to guide and encourage and help, but let them make a lot of their own choices, unless it's something that would, you know, cause them harm. And of course you have to intervene when you have to intervene. Anyway, so yeah, we had the rehearsal dinner on Friday. We went to a Brazilian, it's called a churrascaria, Brazilian steakhouse, where they serve stuff on the swords and whatnot. My son didn't want anything off a sword, so his dinner came from the salad bar. But the dinner was really good. The rehearsal was great. My son was very well behaved, very well received. Everyone really just thought he was the best kid there. I mean, there wasn't a lot of kids there, but he's like one of the best kids there. So that was awesome. And Saturday took him home in the morning, and then we went to the wedding, which was beautiful. And I had read, because my boyfriend was officiating, and I had read his speech over, and I kind of heard a little bit of the beginning of it. He never really had the opportunity to read it all the way through to me, but when I read it in his voice in my head. So, but hearing him say a lot of the things that he was saying about relationships and about what he has found to make work, and, you know, being honest and having that communication, and how honesty can be hard sometimes, but it's such a key to success. And he and I have found that's a key to a successful relationship. And it's hard, it is. But anyway, he was talking a lot about it. Of course, you know, I teared up. And weddings, you know, make me think of 2 things. Make me think of my own first wedding, which there are a lot of great memories associated to, followed by a very long marriage that was not always successful and ended not being successful. But it also makes me think about my future with my boyfriend. And, you know, we've talked about, you know, marriage and how that would look for us if and when we decide to go down that path. And we've started to talk a little bit more about it. I mean, of course, I still have to finalize the divorce and whatnot before I even give it a whole lot of serious thought. But it's been nice to think about, you know, what it could be. Because one thing I've always said from the very first beginning of my relationship with my boyfriend is I didn't know a relationship could be like this. And I love that my relationship with my boyfriend is great, but there is part of me that feels guilty, and I'm not sure if I'll ever not feel guilty that my ex never got the best version of me because I wasn't the best version of me. I didn't let myself be the best version of me. So I won't take full responsibility for that relationship failing, but I definitely played my part. So, but I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm moving forward in the direction I need to be moving in. I know that my boyfriend and I are so good for each other in ways that I'm just not used to still. But it's the best possible way that I'm not used to it. It was very nice meeting some of my boyfriend's childhood friends. I felt very welcomed and brought right into the fold. I really did. So I enjoyed that a lot. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything I wanted to talk about. Oh, y'all, I'll get a kick out of this. I'm not a tiny person. I'm 6'6" and I weigh about 270 pounds. I'm actually proud of that because I'm almost like just like half a pound before being in the 260s, which is exciting. So I'm big. I'm not, the biggest person in the world, but I'm big. So I'm in the bathroom the other day, sitting down. Toilet seats are about 5 years old. I happen to lean just a certain way and snap, pinch. Toilet seat snap, pinch my left ass cheek. And of course I scream, "Ow, son of a bitch." Boyfriend comes running, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, pissed, but I'm okay." So, and then my boyfriend's father, because of course I posted on Facebook because it's funny. I admit it's funny. And my boyfriend's father was like, "Yeah, had that happen to me. Wasn't my butt cheek that got pinched." I'm like, we can stop that right there. The quote that I saw online this week that I want to share with you isn't so much inspirational, but it's more advice. And it's advice that I've always tried to instill in my son. And actually, it reminds me very much of a scene from The Munsters where Herman is talking to Eddie about no matter what anyone else says to you, the most important thing you can be is kind. So the quote that I found online, and I don't remember where I found it or who posted it or whatever, was always try to be a little kinder than necessary. Wise words, because you never know what someone's life is like on the other end of whatever you're saying or doing. So it can't hurt to be a little kinder than necessary. Something I think we can all work on. I love you guys, so check on your friends, make sure they're doing okay. I have a friend that did a singing competition that was a national competition. The finals were in Laughlin, Nevada. He ended up being the second in his category, which was huge. So kudos to him and all the other people that participated. Check on your family. I've got some stuff going on in mine. Can't talk a lot about it on here, but stuff going on in mine that I'm anxious about and dealing with the best I possibly can. And really hating that I can't be closer to this family to kind of help them out right now. And check on yourself. Make sure you're doing okay. I always encourage self-care, and then I always find that I struggle with self-care. I have started doing some stretches for my legs, so that's something. So moving in that direction. All right, long vlog this week, guys. So sorry. No, I'm not. Very long vlog this week. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. Rephrasing. Still working on that too. And I will see you next week. Bye.